Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Adam Mueller with State Your Business. Today we got Brady Byers with Brady's Towing and Recovery. And I got a DM while Brady was in town hauling a car to Minnesota from North Dakota and has a twin turbo Viper and reached out and said, "Hey man, mind if I come check out your Viper?" So I was like, yeah, we connected and decided to make a podcast out of it. So
Absolutely.
Brady, how about you state your business?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on the show, Adam. My name is Brady. I got Brady's Towing and Recovery out of Watford City, North Dakota. Do a lot of transports for high-end exotics, and then we also do towing and recovery work for small to heavy-duty vehicles up in the oil patch.
And what got you into it, Brady? What made you interested in the towing and recovery business?
Cars. I love cars. Always loved cars, so figured why not tow them when they break down. Towed for a company back in Montana for a little while before I got into law enforcement, and then just kind of kicked off from there. So.
Sure. And when you got into it, did you see yourself being into it long term? Did you see this being something that you would have employees doing it for you, or was that a goal, plan?
No, when I started, I just actually was interested in some extra cash. I was, like I said, I was a cop for a while and was just doing like little roadside stuff to put some money away for vacations. You know, law enforcement doesn't make enough money to really survive on.
Sure.
Anything extra that they can do, you know, actually helps out a lot. So
what got you into law enforcement?
My dad was a deputy for 20 years in Lewis and Clark County. And my family's always been in law enforcement or some sort of, service industry for public, firefighting, deputy sheriff. My great grandpa was actually the undersheriff for Broadwater County in Montana. And then my dad was a watch commander or sergeant for Lewis and Clark County. So then I started off as a dispatcher for Broadwater County, 911 dispatcher, handling all the calls that come in. And then I started as a reserve deputy for Lewis and Clark County. Did that for a couple of years, and then moved full-time as a full-time deputy in McKenzie County in North Dakota in the oil field, back when it was booming.
And what year range was that?
Oh, it was 2010 to 2014.
Okay. Yeah, that was when they were having that rapid growth.
Yeah.
All the infrastructure had to come up. The roads weren't up to par.
Yep.
I remember that. That place was crazy then, man.
Oh man, it was the Wild West.
And how is it now?
It's starting to pick back up again out there. So
I know they got a lot of hotels up. They got a lot of different highways that have been built since then.
They do.
How's that affected your company and what you do now?
Well, as far as the roads and stuff like that, I mean, the more roads, the more traffic gets on them. A lot more semis traveling. A lot more people up there now, going to and from job sites. So, I mean, it picks up our towing quite a bit, especially with these brokers like AAA and Agiro and some other ones, FYX Fleet and stuff like that. So
you mentioned a background in Montana and then also in North Dakota. At any point in time in this business venture of yours, have you had to have multiple locations or seen a need for multiple locations that made it easier for just work efficiency?
We always try to expand. I tried to put one back in Montana from where I'm originally from in Helena. I mean, it was doing good. We had it out there for a couple years. And it was just oversaturated with tow companies out there, so it wasn't really feasible to keep paying somebody and the equipment and the shop rent. So we just shut it down and moved everything back over to North Dakota to kind of regroup. But like north of me up in Williston, I'm looking at putting a few trucks up there because we get a lot of calls up there. Just kind of watch where the call volume is and see what's kind of need they have. And right now Williston, which is about 40 miles north of us, is pretty hopping for calls. So we'll probably end up sticking 2 trucks up there come this summertime.
And what do you see more of? Are you seeing more of the traffic, the people that work in the oil fields, say they're commuter vehicles, that you're getting a lot of call volume from, or do you get a lot of stuff from the oil companies themselves?
A lot of the oil companies. It's a good mix between the two.
Okay.
Especially people moving in from out of state, getting jobs and their families. Like I said, we handle everything from light duty up to heavy. So we've got contracts with a lot of these big frac companies that keep us really busy for our heavy wreckers, and then just the brokers for like AAA and all these other little ones, and some cash calls, but that's about it. I mean, we do everything, so it's really hard to say, which more of which, because it's all one thing basically.
How big of a role do the brokers play in what you do?
So brokers play a pretty big role in it.
Okay.
They have definitely call volume for us. I wouldn't say that their pay is shit, excuse the words, but it's shit. But there's call volume for when you're slow and stuff like that. It kind of helps pay the employees, pay the fuel bill. Sure. So stuff like that.
Yeah, I know a small business from experience. It's you want to take on the things that bring volume, even if you have lower margins. Mm-hmm. It especially when you have employees, because it keeps things a lot more level. You don't have so much of the feast or famine.
Correct.
So get a little bit more of a flat line
right
through that time. And then with employees, I guess at what point did you decide, okay, I need to have employees because there's such a demand for this? How did you what was that experience like for you?
Well, I've always had at least one employee running with me.
Okay.
From when we first started. His name is Christopher. He's actually been with me the longest. He comes off and on, but when I moved out into the oil field from law enforcement, I would take calls at I would take calls at night, and he would take calls during the day.
And what year was that?
Oh, I was probably 13, 14.
Okay.
So, and we were just running a little tow truck. At that time, it wasn't anything big, an older, rollback. So nothing too fancy.
Sure.
So $20,000 rig, I think, is what it was at that point. So.
And so then you guys basically started everything together.
Correct.
And then you got to a point now where I believe you have 4 or how many employees do you have right now?
Well, I think we got five employees.
About 5 employees.
Yeah.
And what brought you to that point? Was that just more contracts, just more volume?
Just more volume.
Fields?
Once our name got out there and got on with Google and up towards the higher level of the Google search bars, we'd start getting more calls coming in, so a lot more demand for our services.
And have you played with SEO or any of that stuff for Google searches, or seen any improvement in any of that? No?
So I don't do it personally, but I have a team that works on it that I pay every month to do it. And they work on my Facebook ads, my Google ads, Instagram, all that stuff. They're kind of my marketing team that does that.
Do you think that has played a role in increase of revenue?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
How much would you say that helped?
I would say a pretty good bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough to hire a couple more people?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I couldn't honestly give you any numbers, but yeah, it's definitely raised it quite a bit.
And for somebody that's just tuning into the channel and is interested in towing and recovery in a different market, of course, because we don't want you in the same market as Brady here, but what would you say would be a good place to start something like this? What would they want to look for? What sort of?
I would find a metro area that has less towing companies around per capita. Kind of see who's all around. Put yourself like a good footprint, like a 100-mile radius, and just kind of go around and see who's all towing in that area. The less tow trucks in that area, the better for you to start a spot. So.
Sure. And then you had mentioned with the property that you have now, how do you deal with vehicles? Let's say somebody gets a DWI and you have to, have it parked for a while. What do you do with that?
So when we get called by law enforcement for DUIs or DWIs, normally the vehicles will end up going into their impound yards for counties, and we just pick them up and bill the county for it, for those.
So you have your own impound lot?
I've got my own impound lot, yes.
Okay. So that'd be something to consider if someone was looking in a more densely populated area.
Yes.
To have a lot for that.
You're definitely going to want a lot because there's revenue inside of storage as well. So.
Okay.
You get your tow on top of the storage bill for the vehicle. So And different other states are different. Some have different laws on how much you can charge a day. Mine's pretty high a day because I don't want cars sitting in my yard. And
Sure.
for some reason, I have 40 or 50 in them right now. So
A point to say you're not in the storage business.
yeah, a
Yep.
point to say
Get
you're
it
not-
out of here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure.
So
And at what point did you get to where you could have property and you could store vehicles? Was that something from the very beginning, or?
no, so I rented spots at first.
Okay.
That
Storage units, or?
No, not storage units, just like a shop in a yard
Okay.
that was fenced, and use that to basically put vehicles in and go from there on there. So
How does that work from an insurance perspective for covering other people's property? Is that just basically on their own auto insurance, or?
no, I cover what's called a garage keeper's liability insurance.
Okay.
Kind of like the same thing as these auto shops have.
Mhm.
So it covers the vehicles while they're in my care on my property.
And how does it work? Say you go to a scene and then you have to get it to your property. Is that just a general auto policy?
As
Like
far
a-
as if it was an accident or something.
Yeah, you're
yes.
hauling back someone, or maybe they got a flat tire.
Okay.
It's not a total loss for them at that point.
Gotcha. Then yeah, we would either fix their flat tire right there on scene by putting their spare tire on, or if the vehicle's incapacitated, we'll pick it up and take it to a mechanic shop for them. If it's just mechanical, if it's like in an accident, we'll pick it up and we can either take it to a body shop of their choosing right then and there, or if they haven't figured out what they want to do with it yet, then it'll come back to our yard and then we deal with insurance on it. The insurance company will call us and ask us where they or tell us where they want the vehicle to go to, and we can go from there.
Do you ever get into, my mind goes to something like Dog the Bounty Hunter. You guys ever get into repos?
Yeah, I try and stay out of them,
Okay.
but we do on occasion get some of them. It's not like what you see on TV, like what is it, Miami towing or something.
They're
like
driving
that.
the car off as you're hitched
Yeah.
up and pulling away.
I've only had one person bring a shotgun out at me, and that was on his property. And we had law enforcement involved and stuff like that. So we ended up with the truck. Afterwards, he ended up in handcuffs. But I mean, we've only had one, and I've been doing this since 14. So
Man, tell me about that situation. How'd that escalate? You show up, get a call from law enforcement or something, or?
yeah, so we show up. Sorry, excuse me. It's open property. It's on a like a parcel of land and whatnot. And we see the semi truck just sitting there, so we pull up to it, and back up to it, and start hooking up. And this gentleman come running down his driveway, wondering what we're doing,
Oh man.
and we're like, yeah, hi, I have paperwork for this for repo, and he wasn't too happy and went inside, got a shotgun, and said, you're dropping it right here. Well, we already had law enforcement notified because we heard that he might be an issue, so they were just standing around back. And they show up, and we had a nice little scene for about 2 hours, and finally ended up with the truck coming with us and him going in handcuffs. So
You ever have any activity like that over on your property where somebody comes back to claim something, or maybe they can't get the vehicle but they want personal effects from the car?
yeah, they do quite a bit. So a lot of times I'll give them their personal effects from the vehicles. State law in North Dakota requires me to give perishables and prescription medication, and that's it. If they don't have insurance on the vehicle, we tend to try and hold items just in case, try to recoup the costs a little
Sure,
bit.
sure.
But I mean, you kind of have to judge it from the people that you're dealing with too. I mean, you can deal with the meth heads versus the family that just can't afford anything, and just be a good heart and give stuff to people that can't afford stuff.
And what happens in a scenario where, say, they can't pay? Maybe they came on tough times, they can't pay for their vehicle to come out of impound. Maybe they hit a deer or whatever it is, and they just want to fix it up. How would you manage or navigate something like that? Or have you had to?
That's a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
A lot of people that are genuine, actually can't afford it. You can, talking to them, you can tell that, hey, I'm in a tough spot. Me personally, if they give me a sob story and I can, clarify it, more than likely I'll be more than happy to help them out. I'll be like, hey, give me $100 and a good review on Google. Call good. You can have your car back. Or if they can't pay or something like that, it's just like, just take a car. Merry Christmas type thing. I'm not in the business to lose money at all, but at the same time, you have to help out people, when they're down and out. Otherwise, you're not going to move forward yourself.
It's a good perspective, man. So that's a little bit on the customer side. What about the employee side? You got to have a couple stories there.
On the employee side,
what's a crazy employee story?
Oh man, that's a good one.
That you can share on camera. Any crazy calls, 3 a.m. or something?
Oh, some 3 a.m. I mean, we've always get 3 a.m. calls.
Sure.
A lot of drug busts for people and whatnot. Had one the other day. I would say, my guy was picking up a pickup truck, and had all of his lights on, all his flashers on. It was the middle of the night, and semi truck and trailer came up over a hill, and there was plenty of time to see my guy in the middle of the road, probably a good 3/4 of a mile ahead of him, but he wasn't paying attention. He got right at the ass end of my truck, and he took the ditch and came back up and went back up on the road, almost rolled his truck and trailer. We caught it on dash cam, so that was pretty sweet to watch. But
wow.
My driver called me up probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, shitting bricks, being like, dude, I just about died. I'm like, well, I'm glad you didn't, man.
That's crazy.
He's like, can you pull this video up so I could see it? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get to the office tomorrow. We'll pull it up because we all want to see it. And we sent it around to a lot of the tow guys in North Dakota, saying, hey guys, this shit can happen. Watch your six. Watch what's coming up behind you, because these guys don't pay attention. So.
And do you have, so let's say your employee who was driving were to come into contact with somebody doing that, or whatever happens. Do you have a way to track them to know where they are? I
do. I've got 3 different ways to track my drivers. So I have got a towing software that we use called Towbook that tracks their GPS. I also make my drivers keep Live 360 on their phone, so that way I can track them as well. When they're working, they can turn it off when they're off duty, but just in case something's not working with Towbook. And then I also have dash cams with GPS in all of my trucks. So
that's awesome. That's a good way to, I would imagine insurance at some point maybe likes to see that. I don't know if that comes up in your annual reviews.
They do. They also can kind of hurt you, especially when your drivers have lead foots.
Oh, sure.
They like to go fast, and yes, I'm one of those that like to go fast, so it doesn't really help out that much. So, but
I had a deal with employees, especially out in North Dakota, man. It's just so long and flat.
Yeah.
Send guys out there, and it wasn't so much a liability thing with accidents or things like that, but it was fuel. So I had a ATM company, and people would be hauling, employees would be hauling a 20,000 pound trailer behind them, and it's just a big square box. And so they're hauling down the road in a 6.7 Cummins 1 ton, to the wood, 40, 50 mile an hour headwind, because I swear every time you go out there, that's all you run into,
Yeah.
And they're doing 90 miles an hour because there's nothing out there.
Right.
And it's like, man, these fuel bills. And so I was talking to somebody, he's like, oh, you got to put limiters on these things.
Yep.
And so I talked to the service manager at the Dodge dealership, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe we just program it in.
Yeah.
It's all built in.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty slick. But that worked pretty good for us.
No, yeah, it works pretty good. I have, a lot of my trucks are all limited, but they're limited at like 70, 75, for commercial motor vehicles. So.
Sure.
But I do have one that's not limited. That one's my truck. But when I need to get to accidents fast, I use my truck. So.
And then as far as with the employees goes, do you incentivize for different things as far as different times of the day or night, or how does that work? You got a guy that's been working all day, you have to rotate him out, or if you have to call him back up, how does that work?
Well, I pay my guys really good. A lot better than most tow companies do. So, that's a pretty good incentive right there.
Absolutely.
It's not, I would say it's 90% higher than most tow companies, but my guys know what kind of job that it is. It's not a job to them anymore. It's, okay, yeah, it's a life. We have to go out and go do this whether we like it or not. Let's just go get it done and have at it. So paycheck's just kind of a bonus at the end of the couple of weeks.
It's awesome, man. Which sounds like for you got into it out of passion.
Yeah.
You enjoy it. Which I always say, passion-driven companies, as a business broker, you always see that those are always the most successful,
right?
From what I've seen, and even just friends in their own perspective fields, the ones that they do it because they love what they do, those ones it changes the morale of the team, and everybody enjoys, not necessarily like, oh yeah, I get to go to work today, but it makes it a lot more palatable,
right?
And people seem to enjoy it a lot more. What if you were to go back and talk to yourself? You said you started in about 2013.
Yeah.
So if you were to go, back to 2013, what would some advice be that you would give to other people that, or let's say to yourself, what would you say to yourself back in 2013, getting into this, that could have maybe saved you a couple of headaches along the way?
Stay small until you can afford to go big yourself.
Don't
rely on banks to loan you money, because they're out looking for themselves. They ain't out looking for you, and they're always going to have their piece in the pie, and you're going to end up paying more for a truck, with their interest rate than you would if you just saved the money yourself. So yeah, I've got a few trucks that are financed. I do. And, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I was in the position where I could just pay cash for them and call it good, But the trucks that I have now are, very high-end trucks, expensive trucks, $750,000 and more. So it is kind of, a catch-22 there. But if it's a small company starting out, stay small until you can afford to go big yourself. Do not finance yourself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Do
you feel if you were to have a different approach to that, would that have helped you grow quicker? Would it have just put you in a better cash heavy position?
It'd be a better cash heavy position, yeah.
Okay.
Growing is great. Finance can help you grow quite a bit, but it's a lot of headache too. So I'd rather just pay cash for everything and just be done with it at that point, But I've grown this little business from absolutely nothing to, multi-million-dollar business a year. So
that's awesome, man. Do you mind sharing what you guys have done for a best record of revenue per year?
2.7 mil.
Awesome. I bet that felt pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty good. But sometimes you look at it and be like, where'd that money go?
Yep. Well, like we just talked about, buying the trucks.
Yeah,
man. I mean,
right?
that's all part of it.
So
got to keep the wheels turning.
Absolutely.
So we pivot off to kind of what brought us together. Touch on that a little bit. Your hobbies.
Sure.
What you're into. What do you do on the off time to kind of get the stress? Get rid of the stress.
So get rid of the stress. So like you've got sports cars that are high end and extremely powerful cars. Like I've got a twin turbo Dodge Viper as well. It's 2013. My cars are my life. I love my cars. If I didn't have them, I would go crazy. So I can't just sit at home and do nothing. I've tried dealing with being a Harley guy and ride Harleys and stuff like that. I've try and have a boat and go out and go fishing and stuff like that. I can't do it. I have to be four wheels underneath me, going fast or just doing cruises. So.
Are you more of a rally guy, a track event guy, or what? Or just cruise, Sunday cruiser?
Just cruise. I mean, I'll do anything. I haven't really gotten into events very much yet, but trying to get into it. And,
sure.
The twin turbo Viper that I have is somewhat new to me. I bought it brand new, not brand new, but I brought it in 2021, I think, or 2020.
Okay.
Had 6,000 miles on it, and I seen a lot of my friends go down and get their cars upgraded. So I went, did the same thing, and now this thing's just a freaking monster.
What kind of
It's a race
power does
car.
it make?
So as of right now,
Or
it's,
where'd you start with it at, and kind of where's it at now? Because that's the journey, right?
Right.
It starts over here, and now you're over here.
Right.
What's the progress of that?
So I had a 2002 Dodge Viper that was just basically stock, and I had them put a stroker motor in it, and it had put up about 850 horse after the stroker motor. Then I've seen some of my buddies get twin turbo Vipers, and you know, they're anywhere from 1,200 horsepower up to 2,800 horsepower. I'm not gonna go 2,800. That's too much for me. The 18 to 2,000 is about good range. I think.
Yeah, that's a nice sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start getting north of that, and you're kind of on a maintenance schedule.
Yeah.
Not that there's no maintenance at 16 to 2,000, but it's
Right.
more maintenance.
Yeah, more man. Things break easier.
They do.
So.
It's fun, but it's a shorter lived moment.
Right. So, but yeah, no, I like going to car shows, taking them all out. I love it when kids come up to my cars and just, you know, Google eye over them, because that's what I used to be when I was a kid. So,
Crown Rally, I know we touched on Crown Rally a little bit. So shout out to Asa. We'll have to connect you guys.
Yeah, that'd be
get
sweet.
interested in that. But that's one of the things I really like about what they do is they have a way of connecting car enthusiasts that have a passion for cars, that, you know, enjoy it. And you got anything from mild to wild.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys that are in a 5.0 GT, and you got people in a twin turbo Huracan, you know, and everything in between. And the cool part about it is they do it for a cause. You know, that's their slogan, is rally for a cause. And my wife and I, she came with me, I want to say it was my second year, so 2018, we took my 2018 Dodge Demon out, and it was the north route from Minneapolis to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was neat, man. We did the rally, we went through all the cool Great Vineyard areas for the venues, and we'd stop and they'd have like some nightclub rented out, and we'd all, you know, hang out. I quit drinking in 2016, so I was the sober group, you know, the sober guy in there, a very small group of sober guys in that
Right.
setting. But so we walked through, it was all shoulder to shoulder, and then we made our way back out. We're like, yeah, we'll just go out somewhere else. But it is a cool group. What I like about it, so the last day after the ceremony awards and stuff, they had, I think it was around 20 to 30 Chicago PD guys on bikes, on motorcycles, big old fat stogies in the mouth. And they were bunny hopping from light to light through downtown Chicago to get us to the Shriners.
Nice.
And that was really cool. Or no, I'm sorry, St. Jude's. St. Jude's.
St. Jude's.
And we get to St. Jude's, and coolest part of the whole trip, man. So back in 2018, the Demon was a new thing. You know, it's a little bit of hype around it, and kids just lit up. Some of them actually knew what it was, which I was really surprised by that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. The 11-year-old knows what a Dodge Demon is. And he comes out and he's like, can I sit in it? And I'm like, yeah, you can sit in it. Sits in it. And I'm like, this kid's digging it, man.
Right.
Fire that thing up. So helped him figure out how to start it. He was just lit up. And I'm like, you should rev it. And he's like, really? Can I?
Yeah.
And his mom and dad were there, and they're like, really? I'm like, let him rev it. He's not going to hurt it. Thing's stock.
Right.
So he's sitting there revving this thing. And, dude, like, you know, there's such a variety of cars there, too. All these kids just love, you know, doors that go up on the Lambos and McLarens.
Right.
And, it's a good time. Good people. A lot of them are entrepreneurial.
Yep.
So there's a lot of good networking in that as well. But really enjoy the car stuff. I think that'd be something you'd really enjoy.
Right. Hopefully I
Yeah.
put in an invite, so hopefully I get it.
Heck yeah, man.
So,
Well, cool. Thanks for joining the show.
yeah, appreciate it.
I don't know if you got anything you want to add or put into it, but appreciate your time. And again, this is Brady Byers with Brady's Towing and Recovery.
Thanks, guys.